Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Your Overseas Home webinar. In this session, we're looking at Portugal's Residency by Investment scheme, often referred to as the Golden Visa. We'll explain how Portuguese Golden Visa could be your and your family's ticket to residency status in Portugal, with fairly flexible terms, not to mention visa-free travel around Europe. Equally, we'll show how it could lead to a Portuguese passport and citizenship. So-called golden visas are increasingly useful to non-European nationals, including American, Asian, African, and these days UK citizens. But they're especially useful for professional people of non-retirement age who want the flexibility of being able to travel with work while retaining residency in Europe. It's fair to say Portugal's golden visa has been particularly popular, even though requirements have changed recently, which we're going to talk about. So my name is Richard Way, a member of the Your Overseas Home content team, and I'll be hosting this session. It's great to have you all here, whether you're with us watching live or you're catching up on demand, because this session will be accessible via the platform after the event today. But let me introduce today's specialist, the important person who will be providing us with all the valuable information, and that is Shane Peacock from international financial services provider Holborn Assets. Shane, hi there. How you doing?
Hi, Richard. Good to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Great, thank you. So sound and audio is all good, yeah.
All good.
Shane
All
good. Shane's a partner at Holborn Specialist Residency and Citizenship by Investment Division. So he spends his days advising and helping clients with alternative residency and citizenship options. And I believe your experience, Shane, includes 17 years as a wealth manager as well, helping high net worth individuals.
Yeah, you're giving my age away a bit, but yeah, been in the industry for quite.
We'd never know. Just very quickly, as a guide to the format of this session, we've got about 30 minutes, and we're going to start with a presentation from Shane, and then we want questions from the audience, hopefully from you listening. I've got a few that I could throw into the mix as well, so hopefully we'll cover up all the important issues that are involved with this topic. So to ask Shane a question, please use the questions tool, which you should see on your dashboard. If you just click on that and type your question in there, and then I'll field them to Shane. So having Shane here today, we should say, is a really great opportunity. He's given up time. We know he's based in South Africa, actually. So he's tuned in from across the seas to help us out today and share information. So make use of that. So Shane, over to you. The floor is yours. Do you want to kick off?
Well, thank you. So this is we've done a few now as far as sort of introducing countries. I know we did one last week with regards to Europe as a whole. It's quite difficult to get all that amount of information out, so it's quite nice to just focus on one, and it's a good one to start off with. Portugal is an opportunity that we use as a gateway into Europe. Europe offers what they call the EU, and EU, obviously, once you're an EU citizen, you can live, work, settle in any of the 27 member states. So it's something a lot of us British passport holders are missing at the moment. But it's an opportunity that we are able to get back. We use Portugal because it does not change your life that much. It is an investment. It is an opportunity where for an investment, you can obtain residency for fairly a little bit amount of time. You only need to spend 14 days every 2 years in the country as a minimum. But what it does for you is it gives you a pathway to citizenship in a 5-year period. Right? Now that 5-year period becomes quite important because once you've done that 5 years, you have the rights to be able to apply for citizenship, which then gives you a passport, and that passport then basically brings you back, if you're a British passport holder, back to where you used to be a few years ago. Now, if we go through everything here, the Portuguese Golden Visa started in 2012. Reason why that's important is because since then we've had well over 20,000 applications approved, which therefore proves that it, one, works, but also fundamentally it also shows that people have now started to get their passports from 2018. That's fundamentally what clients are looking for, is to be able to have that pathway to citizenship and to make sure that that pathway works. So the Portuguese government put this together because people are looking at alternatives. People are choosing Portugal, yes, because of the favorable tax, the favorable cost of living, their healthcare is amazing. Language, English is spoken everywhere. Those of you that have been to Portugal understand that at school, Portuguese people learn English as a secondary language. So all of these come into account and they all fall into place as to why people are doing it. Fundamentally, people are doing it because they don't want to have to leave their current lives. They want to have what they call a plan B, and that plan B allows you to continue life as is, but to still have the opportunity to move to Portugal, to live in Portugal, and to be able to take benefit of all it has to offer. Now, most people, when they're looking at Portugal, they understand Porto, Lisbon, Algarve, Madeira. Madeira is a bit of a hot topic. Portugal doesn't think they're part of Portugal. Madeira doesn't think they're part of Portugal either. So, but majority of people understand Lisbon. It's their capital. They understand Porto, some of the best wine in the world. They understand Algarve, which is some of the best beaches. These are generally where people are settling. But if you don't want to settle, bear in mind that's also an opportunity. Now, anyone who is a non-EU citizen can apply. As long as you have a clean criminal record, so FBI clearance, a clean criminal record is clean, and you need to make an eligible investment. That investment starts from about 168,000 euro, and we'll go through a couple of examples later on and how to be able to do it, but it starts from about 168,000 euro to be able to qualify for your residency permit. You do need to visit at least 14 days every 2 years, as mentioned before. And as a main applicant, you do need to be above the age of 18. Now, the other benefit of something like this is you can include the whole family. You can include 3 generations within one application, which means main applicant and spouse doesn't need to be married, can be unmarried. Their children under the age of 18, fairly easy to get by, but you can include children over the age of 18, depending, as long as they are financially dependent. And the way that we prove dependency is that child needs to be enrolled in full-time study. Anyone above the age of 18, have a meeting with us. Let us go through. Let us give you the opportunities and the objectives, and we'll help you get them through as well on one application. But you can also include parents, so grandparents. If they're above the age of 65, we do not need to prove that they are dependent. Below the age of 65, we will. So 3 generations all on one application, very, very good offering, all right? Been taken up by a lot of our clients. Now, the process itself is fairly straightforward. The process involves putting everything in black and white. So any of the investments that are obtained, we put everything into black and white. From there, we'll obtain your NIF, or what they call tax numbers. Once that tax number is obtained, we'll also then get your bank account. It has to be a domiciled bank account within Portugal. That all can be done remotely. So you do not have to leave the chair you're currently sitting in. Myself, my team will work with you to be able to obtain all of that. Once that has been done, we'll validate the accounts and you can transfer the funds from your account to your new account in Portugal. All your documentation, all your agreements will then be signed with the lawyers. As I said, we are an A to Z provider. So this will all be signed with the lawyers. And we'll then start the process. To be able to start the process, we're going to need a couple of documents, things like birth certificates, police clearances, those type of things. But again, we'll work with you depending where you are in the world. Now, once that is done, everything will be submitted. That is now when your 5 years starts. So from the beginning of this year, they changed the laws that states now that your 5 years of residency towards your citizenship starts from the day your application is submitted. So as soon as we have a case file, that's when your 5 years starts. Predominantly, we're going to wait roughly about 6 to 8 months, and we will then get what we call your pre-approval. That's an approval in principle. It then gives us the allowance for you to go across to Portugal and do your biometrics. It's the only time we need you to be there in person. Fortunately, we don't have your fingerprints, so we will need you to be there. Our lawyers, your lawyers, will be with you in person, so never leaving you alone. And after that, your final case will be reviewed and approved. Right? We've done quite a lot. We've done almost just over 1,000 applications, and all of those have been approved. We've got a 100% success record. Right? But those cards are what it will then give you. Those cards allow you to live, work, settle within Portugal, give you the same rights as any other citizen. You're just not able to vote or run for office yet. But for those of you with not so great passports, it also gives you access to all Schengen areas. So all Schengen countries now have accessibility, and you can stay there for the nominated 90 days and 180-day period. So you're joining the rest of us. You can spend 3 months at a time, in, 3 months out, and back. So that gives you an idea of the process. At the moment, the process is taking about 12 to 16 months. The government's done a lot of changes. We've all heard of these backlogs and these extended times. The government this year specifically has done a lot of changes. And the presumption is by June of next year, all backlogs will be concluded and your time frames will go back to about 6 months. So very, very good news for those of you that are entering now. Your timelines would have gone back quite a lot. All right. Now, the citizenship itself becomes quite vital because once you have that citizenship, you now have the fourth best passport in the world, better than the US, better than the UK. Gives you 190 countries visa-free travel, and it allows you to live, work, settle in any of your EU countries, so all 27 member states. Right? So quite a strong passport. All in all, they are increasing it at any point in time. But what it means for you is if Europe is your ultimate destination, Germany, France, Italy, this is your gateway. After a 5-year period, you're able to obtain the rights to be able to live in any of those countries. So even if Portugal isn't necessarily your ultimate goal or your ultimate destination, it gives you the access to be able to achieve that through a gateway, right? We've all heard of late, Spain is looking at closing their Golden Visa. I know a lot of UK guys preferably like to live in Spain. They are closing their Golden Visa, so it's just a different way of looking at it. Within a 5-year period, you are able to live, work, settle within Spain if that's your ultimate destination. Right. Now, how do we go about doing it? So we all know it's an investment. The investment can be done in 5 different ways. 1, you can open up a company within Portugal. You can employ 10 people. All have to be Portuguese citizens. Those 10 people then need to be kept into work, which then causes its own problems. A lot of these companies we don't know about the staff, and it causes a risk as far as costing goes. So something that's not really done a lot, but there is an opportunity for it in certain instances. You can invest 500,000 into research activities. A lot of the time, that is a little bit more riskier. Again, I know we use the word risk a lot, but you'll understand why. A lot of our clients don't want to have their funds being at any type of risk. Donation element, not everyone wants to give away 250,000 euro. There is a combat for that. And if we look at history, probably in the history of the Golden Visa, you've probably had 2 people give the donation. So not a very popular route. Number 4 is probably the most popular route within the industry. It's a venture capital route. It's an investment route. October last year, they changed the laws. What they stated is going forward, you cannot invest into any type of real estate or into anything that owns real estate, right? Which is quite important. So what a lot of people have now started doing is investing into these type of funds, venture capital funds, and it will be dependent on your risk appetite. It doesn't mean that one size fits all. It will be your risk appetite. They will do an assessment on you and they will make sure that this is the right avenue for you, right? So again, you've got quite a few number of funds to be able to choose from, and we have all those opportunities. We've narrowed them down to about 3 or 4, depending on your requirements, but we have action to be able to do all of them. The last one is capital transfer. Again, 500,000, and it's a capital raise. So you're investing in an existing company. That company needs to maintain at least 10 jobs or create at least five. So as long as that has been done, it works quite well. So we have all of these opportunities available if that's the way you want to go. Now, what I'd like to do is just go through the fund option, obviously being the most sort of sought after option. It's important to understand what it's all about. The requirements of a fund is that it needs to be regulated. It needs to be registered with the CMV in Portugal. It cannot directly or indirectly own any kind of real estate, as mentioned before. And 60% of those funds need to be invested into Portuguese securities or Portuguese assets. All right, so it's giving back to Portugal. They are getting a benefit from it. Your minimum investment is 500,000, and that needs to be kept invested while you are still a resident. So those are kind of the rules. Very important to know. And all the funds that we're about to run through are qualifying funds, right? These are all examples, and we have many more to be able to go through. It's quite difficult within a 30-minute period to be able to run through all of this and address questions. So I've just picked out 3 that I think will be quite interesting for our clients. First option is the Atlantic Via Fund. The Atlantic Via Fund has been around since 2021, so it's worked quite well. It already has quite a lot of money invested in it. You're looking at about 40 million euro already invested in it. The first sort of influx of money was about 20 million in 2021. That has grown significantly. And the benefit of something like this is it's known, but at the same time, it has an additional benefit. That benefit is a property called Royal Óbidos. Royal Óbidos is a 5-star golf resort based in about 45 minutes outside of Lisbon. It's a course designed by Seve Ballesteros before he passed away. It is a property valued at 500,000, each individual unit, and those units are the ones that will be creating additional benefit for you. It's important to understand that the fund is where your investment will be, and that's how you'll qualify. This property is just an additional benefit, okay, and has nothing to do with the investment itself. Now, the property, if I can just run through them just to give you a couple of pictures of what it all looks like. The property itself, as I said, is a seafront property, one of 4 5-star hotels within the area. Has all your privacy and location, surrounded by a water entry, forest, and sea. But it is close enough to town, so you can get your local Starbucks if required. But they have a very nice coffee shop in the hotel, so no need. But this property has itself all sea views from your apartments. It has full 18-hole golf course, indoor and outdoor swimming pools, as well as spa facilities, restaurants, bars, and so forth. All right, so it has everything that you may require. Now, the property itself, the benefit of having a property such as this is we're able to put a security underneath your investment. So the 500,000 invested is then secured by bricks and mortar, but at the same time, on an investment like this, we have what we call a promissory agreement. It's a forward contract stating that your shares will be purchased from you at 500,000. So that guarantees that your 500,000 will never be reduced. And it also guarantees that at no point will your property be ever at risk or your investment, right? Now, the benefits of also having this property as well as the security is that we can offer you a compensation. We can offer you an income up front. We can offer you 4% per year, 6 years paid on day one, which effectively means now your 500,000 investment reduces down to 399,000 capital. The other 101 is paid to you, which you can add to your investment, bringing it up to the 500. Right? So it's a nice way of reducing your capital outlay, but also this property affords you the rights to be able to stay there 6 weeks per year. You can use it 3 weeks during peak season, 3 weeks during off-peak season. Right? So all your returns are up front, your guarantees are in place, and you get to utilize a property. We go a little bit further by offering you a loan option on this. So if cash flow is a little bit difficult at the moment, we can also give you a 74,000 euro loan, repayable over a 3-year period at 5%. So we've looked at all the avenues. We worked with our past clients to be able to develop a product that's exclusive to us, that we are able to offer our clients, that meets all the requirements and give you a nice benefit in the end of the day. So that's option number one. Option number two, let me skip through these amazing pictures. Option number two would be more of a traditional type of investment, straightforward 500,000 investment into a structure of funds depending on your requirements or your risk profile and appetite. And they would then manage that accordingly and hopefully grow to as much as it can be grown to. Oxy is one of your largest, if not the largest, venture capital funds within Portugal. It manages currently, I know it says 1.4 there. They have increased it to 1.8. So $1.8 billion euro under management. And they worked well. We are a company, as far as Holborn go, we look after funds every day. We look after about 4.8 billion euro, and those funds are secured through different partners, but we manage the money for our clients on those terms. So we kind of know what we're talking about. This is one of the funds that we are happy to introduce our clients to. If it's something that you want to dig a little bit deeper into, it's always advisable to introduce you to the fund manager. That way he can go a little bit more deeper and take account of your risk profile and be able to go through there. And that's available on all funds. We can bring in the fund manager to be able to assist you and go forward that way. Our final fund that we're going to be discussing today is our finance option. I mentioned to you earlier about the 250,000 donation route. Not a lot of people have done that, but clients are preferably doing something like this because of the reduction in cost. So this offers our clients 168,000 euro. It will be a cost, but how it works is fundamentally the exact same as any other fund. The 168,000 will go forward. You would pay it across. The bank would then do a lend of the difference of the funds to bring it up to 500,000, and that would then be invested in the name of the investor. At the end of the period, the funds will be taken back by the bank, and the 168,000 euro will now become a cost. So it'll be a finance cost. So there won't be any return. So almost like a donation, but it's just structured slightly different. But the 168,000 will be an overall cost as opposed to the full 500,000 investment. We have quite a lot of clients looking at this, and we're probably looking to extend it into a few more funds. But at the moment, this is one of our most popular routes. So it gives you different opportunities in different ways. We're not a one-size-fits-all, and it will be dependent on you as an individual how we would be able to move forward. So this is a pure indication of what can be done. It's always important, if this is a pathway that you'd like to follow, that we meet, we look at your individual needs, and we fit the right opportunity for you to be able to create your end goal of obtaining your eventual citizenship. I think that's it. I mean, like I said, a lot of information to be crammed into one session. I see we have a couple of questions, but yeah, Rich, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Shane. One thing we didn't talk about is if an applicant for a golden visa in Portugal, we've mentioned that they have to invest in one of the options you've talked about. What are their requirements with having an address or a property, a residential property where they might live in Portugal? Are there obligations to have that?
No, and that's the beauty of it. The only obligation is that to be able to obtain your citizenship side of things, one, you need to have the investment, which will be the fund. Two, you need to have visited at least 14 days every 2 years. And three, there is a language element. So you do have to pass either a course or a test from an A2 level language. The rest is fairly much straightforward. We, as I said to you, we do work with you, but there's no requirement to own a property there. There's no requirement to have a certain amount of money based there. You don't have to live there. That's one of the benefits. That's why most people are looking at somewhere like Portugal.
Yeah, and presumably the flexibility of only having to spend 14 days out of every 2 years means that a lot of your clients don't actually live there, and I'm guessing they remain tax resident somewhere else, and then they're using that residency card to actually travel around Europe and come and go to Portugal and actually reach their end goal. So I'm guessing you don't need to be tax based there at any point until it suits you.
Yeah, you don't, but
or is that-
predominantly our clients are looking at it as an end result. So in the event that you want to move across there, once you spend the required amount of time, you can convert to your tax being paid there, but it's not an absolute. You don't have to. Your requirement is that you need to spend the 14 days every 2 years. Obviously, you're going to want to spend more time there. I mean, effectively, we're giving you a property. If you're choosing the first option, for instance, we're giving you 6 weeks per year to be able to stay there. Those that have been to places like Portugal understand the beauty that is there. It's spending time up in Porto and enjoying the wine and the people, and then going down to the Algarve and enjoying 325 days of sun. So there's different elements to the country which is there to explore. So most of our clients are going to spend about 14 days, but that's essentially the minimum.
Sure. And I've been to Barbados as well, and it is that even there, that's a lovely place. So it's a nice place to spend time, huh?
Yeah, it's close. So shopping in Lisbon, or relaxing and watching castles in Óbidos, or surfing the biggest waves in Nazaré. It's all there.
Absolutely. Few questions coming in. Someone asked about the how long the application process takes, but you answered that. It's typically 12 to 16 months at the moment, you said. Is that right?
Yeah, it's going to come down. Yeah. But for management of expectations, at this moment in time, I'd say 12 to 16.
Okay, great. Could you go over the costs? This is Tim. What are the costs involved in the application process? So you've got the investment amount, so €500,000. What other costs are involved?
Yeah, you're going to have other things like legal fees. So obviously, because we have to include lawyers, and those lawyers are going to be with us for quite some time. We're talking a 5-year process. So there will be some lawyers' fees, and it'll be dependent on how many applicants are there. There's going to be government costs. So you're going to have a application fee of around about €600, and you're going to have what they call a card fee, which is your residency card fee. That's just over 6,000 per person. So, but that again, that's payable over a period of time. It's payable in different stages, so it's not all up front. So it's manageable. But again, it will be dependent on how many people are there. But those are generally your 3 costs. Well, 4: your investment, your application fee, your card fees, and then your legal fee. Yeah. Okay. But we work together with you depending on sort of how many family members they are.
Okay, so presumably you'll do like a simulation at the start of the process, so guys they know what they're in for.
Yeah,
throughout the process.
And we'll be able to go through each. We can give you a detailed sort of quoting of each option depending on what you want, because again, it's those costs won't change. It will just be your initial investment cost, whether it be the 168, whether it be 399, or whether it be 500,000. Those are your only capital costs that will change.
Okay. Here's another question. Can you buy funds jointly with adult children or with an adult child and have the investment paid to child on death subject to Portuguese tax?
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, depending on the certain factors, but in essence, there is no inheritance tax in Portugal anyway. There's different variations, and it's important to speak to a tax specialist, but in essence, there's no inheritance tax. All the funds, when you're purchasing funds that qualify for the Golden Visa, unfortunately, they all have to be in the main applicant's name. So we can't split it. So it will all have to be in the main applicant's name, but the main applicant can split it between different funds if he wants. All of it will be dependent. There will be a beneficiary on those funds, and that beneficiary can be listed if you want your children to be listed there. Or we can develop and do a will for you, all right? That will then will encompass those assets and will move it to where it needs to be. But in terms of the Golden Visa, they will all need to be invested in the main applicant's name.
Okay. There's a question here. This might be for you or not, but the D7 visa someone's asking, is it still an option for people who are retired? So this is not the
Yes,
golden visa.
so your D7 and your Golden Visa are pretty much the same thing. They all have the same outcome. They've just got different things in the middle. But essentially, one is for clients that want to move across and go spend extended amount of time within Portugal, and the other one is for those that aren't able to move across just yet. Right? So the D7 is that one. It is referred to as a retirement visa. It's nicknamed the retirement visa, but it works on an annuity structure. So depending on how many people it is, it requires you to have a certain amount of annuity coming in. But the main difference between the Golden Visa and that is the Golden Visa, well, that one requires you to spend at least 183 days per year within the country. And it requires you to have, which you would have, a residential address. So there's just a difference about who would be going to it. But the D7 is currently still available, yes.
Okay, thank you. Just give us an idea of who your typical clients are at the moment who are applying for golden visas in Portugal. Is there an obvious sort of mold of person, or is it a real range? Who are the
I mean, I'll be honest with you. It is quite a varied range. Everything from our clients in Singapore to the US. I'll be honest with you, US, old Donald Trump coming into play has increased the attention looking outside of the US. So we are having a lot more interest, should I say, from the US, from clients wanting to leave the US. But it's always been a mixed bag. The opportunity is there because if you look at places like the UK, you can't live outside the UK anymore. You don't have that EU access as we used to have. You've got places like Dubai, where a lot of people are moving and a lot of people are wanting to live there. But essentially, after a period of time, you can't continue. You can never become a citizen. So then they're looking at what after that. Singapore, South Africa, Canada, you name it, guys are looking at it. So it's quite diverse, but truly the Americans are leading the pack at the moment.
And the ones that are moving there to live full time at the moment, where are they going? To Lisbon and the Algarve? Are they sort of?
I would say most of your expats are probably going down to Albufeira, Algarve area. So Albufeira, Vilamora, Portimao, all those different places. That's kind of where they're going. So it's a very diverse sort of culture down there at the moment. Lots of expats. But that's also because it's pretty much 325 days of sun.
Yeah.
They have, I think, 3 of the top 10 beaches in the world are based there. So a lot to look after.
And of course the golf courses.
Yeah, I think there's more golf courses than people there.
Can you, because Holborn Assets or can you help people find somewhere to live, or is that something you do you have partners down there, agents or rental agents, or how does it?
Yeah, I mean, if that's a place you ultimately want to end up, we have a full office down there. So we have financial advisors that can assist you with the move from a financial point of view. We have agencies down there that I've worked with in the past that can assist you to find properties. So we have all that in place. Having an office in Portugal does help. And that kind of allows us to be able to do an A to Z service. So as well as getting you the rights to be able to get there, we can then help you with your financial move as well as your personal move.
Okay. And we are running over time, but I'll just got one final question. I mean, the whole golden visa landscape, it's changing a lot at the moment. And
yeah,
I mean, fair to say the options are shrinking probably rather than getting larger as countries start to clamp down a bit. We've seen Spain, we've seen Portugal get rid of its property option. Is there anything sort of on the grapevine about what Portugal might do in the future with its golden visa, or is it going to sort of stabilize as it is for now? I mean, I'm trying to think and help people if they are thinking about it. Is it worth just doing it now rather than wait in case they change it?
It's always going to change. I think that's the sort of the thing about these type of things. It's always going to adapt. It's always going to change because there's always going to be a different purpose for it. And if we look at somewhere like the Portuguese Golden Visa, it's probably changed 4 or 5 times in the last 12 years. So it's changing all the time, and it's going to be adapting going forward. But essentially, on the horizon, we don't foresee any kind of changes now. There was a big change that was made in October, a bigger change that was made the year before. So all the changes seem to be quite settled. The government at the moment is very, very pro Golden Visa. So they've made all these changes. They've put all these things into place to make it even better. So we don't foresee any changes. But at any point in time, it's always better to jump in now than to wait, because waiting never gets you anywhere, unfortunately. We understand that there is a timeline process. So it's always better to get in now as opposed to wait for later, because that way you can get your citizenship earlier, you can get this all behind, you can get your money back quicker. It's more of a positive move to move now as opposed to wait.
Yeah, and you've got nothing to lose, really, have you, by starting the process?
Your funds are there. It's invested in a format that most people understand. We've all got investments somewhere. Clients investing in this type of thing have got investment portfolios, they've got investment funds, so they understand how the process works.
Yeah. Okay. We're well over time, so we've got no more questions. There's one here from Shazad. They've asked about the different investment values for each of the three options you outlined, but I don't know if you want to just quickly run over very quickly, and then we'll wrap up. So you had the Royal.
Yes, we had the first one, which was Atlantic Via Fund. That you're looking at, it requires 500,000, but with the capital returns, you can start as low as 325.
Yeah.
For the next one's a 500,000 straight investment for Oxy, and for the final one is 168,000.
Perfect. Great. Well, unfortunately, that really is all we've got time for today. Thank you to our audience for tuning in.
I see one last one. We can quickly answer it before just in lastminute.com. You do get your funds back. The only one that you don't get the funds back is 168,000. The other ones, you get your funds back plus whatever return has been made.
Perfect. Yep. Great. Thanks, Shazad. And thanks everyone else who's watched today, live or on catch up, and for all your questions. Do share the link for the recorded versions with friends or anyone you think who might find it useful. And obviously, don't hesitate to contact Holborn Assets or your overseas home if you've got other questions or you're ready to appoint Shane or his team. Thank you, Shane. Really appreciate giving up your time this evening. Enjoy your evening in South Africa. A small request from us here is, if you found the webinar useful, we'd really appreciate it if you'd leave us a review on the review website Trustpilot. Otherwise, that's it from us. Thank you very much, Shane, everyone. Have a nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers.